It's strange how a single moment can shift your perspective on everything you thought you knew about family. The night my father left me in the rain, I realized that love, loyalty, and even safety were things I could never take for granted in his presence. I had thought that enduring his temper was a test I could survive, but nothing prepared me for the cold sting of raindrops soaking me to the bone as he drove away, convinced he was teaching me some sort of twisted lesson. Little did he know, the lesson I learned that night would change everything. And when help arrived, it wasn't from the person I expected, but from someone who would rewrite the meaning of protection in my life. Growing up under my father's roof was never simple. He was strict, authoritarian, and his love often came with conditions. While other kids my age played freely, I was constantly walking on eggshells, hoping to avoid his disapproval. To him, mistakes were failures and failures deserved punishment. My mother often stood by quietly, unable to challenge him, while my siblings either hid or watched. I had grown used to his coldness, but that night, something shifted. We had argued over something so trivial it seems ridiculous now. I had refused to obey one of his unreasonable demands, and in retaliation he ordered me out of the car, in the middle of a storm. His words were sharp, his tone merciless. "If you think you're grown, then walk." And just like that, the door slammed, and the headlights faded into the distance. The rain came down in sheets, plastering my hair to my face, seeping through my clothes until I shivered uncontrollably. At first, I stood frozen, stunned that he would actually abandon me. Cars passed by, some slowing, others speeding through puddles, but no one stopped. I hugged myself, each gust of wind cutting like a blade, and tried to convince myself I'd be fine. But the truth was, I felt smaller and more vulnerable than ever. Minutes turned into what felt like hours, and I wondered if he would come back. But deep down, I already knew he wouldn't. My father wasn't the type to regret his choices. To him, breaking me down was discipline. To me, it was betrayal. As I struggled against the cold, headlights appeared in the distance, slowing as they drew closer. For a moment, fear gripped me. What if it wasn't someone safe? But as the car stopped and the door opened, relief washed over me. It wasn't my father. It was my godfather's driver. The man who had always quietly looked out for me when my parents failed to. He stepped out, an umbrella in hand, and without a word, shielded me from the rain. The warmth of his presence was overwhelming. I stumbled into the car, trembling, and he wrapped me in a blanket from the back seat. At that moment, I realized what my father had lost: my trust, my respect, and the chance to ever be the one I turned to in need. The next morning, my father expected me to apologize. He assumed I would come crawling back, broken, grateful for his authority. But instead, I walked past him with a new sense of resolve. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I didn't even acknowledge his power over me. My silence spoke volumes. Over the weeks that followed, my godfather quietly arranged for me to have more independence. A separate account, access to resources my father had denied me, and most importantly, the reminder that I wasn't alone. My father's punishment had backfired spectacularly. In trying to teach me obedience, he had taught me freedom. The impact was undeniable. Every time my father tried to reassert control, he was met with resistance, not defiance fueled by anger, but quiet strength fueled by the knowledge that I didn't need him to survive. The rain that once drenched me in shame and fear had been washed away by something far more powerful: clarity. And as I grew older, that clarity only deepened. My father never apologized. Maybe he never saw his actions as cruel. But I no longer cared. His lessons no longer defined me. What defined me was the strength to walk away, to recognize who truly cared, and to build a life on my own terms. Looking back now, I realized that moment in the rain was the turning point of my life. It was the night I stopped being my father's child and started being my own person. Sometimes, the harshest betrayals carry the greatest truths. And sometimes, the people who abandon you make room for others to step in and protect you in ways you never thought possible. So the question I leave you with is this: what do we owe to those who call their cruelty love? And when is it finally time to walk away?